Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. On this Tuesday morning, it's episode 199 of Canada's morning sports talk show, and we want to thank our next guest for sitting through the break. That's the Grim Reaper, Stu Grimson. Not that anybody needs an introduction to Stu, but I'm going to read it anyways. 3 seasons with the Regina Pats, God's team, 1982 to 1985, 729 NHL games, 2,113 penalty minutes, and look at that smile. He's smiling like a butcher's dog. Grimmer, before we look at you, I know. Let me just say hi. I got a text here. Say hi to Grimmer for me from the Rat. Listen every day. Keep up the great work, Rod, from your friend Dale Durkat. So right out of the gate,
Dale.
A hello from your buddy.
That's fabulous. Dewey listens to the broadcast. He was one of my favorite teammates. He was just a beauty, one of my absolute favorites. And what a talent as well. Just a fantastic player.
You know what, Stu? We got a lot to get to. What's up in Nashville, how the coronavirus has affected your life. However, there's been a lot of stories coming out, a lot of talk about the early 80s Pats and what a great team they were. People in Moose Jaw are saying they used to drive over to the Agrodome to watch just because you guys were so great. And I never really got into that with you a whole lot in all the events that we've done. Did you ride shotgun as the bodyguard for Dewey regularly, if at all? I mean, what do you remember about that time?
You know, I didn't. We were teammates for 2 of my 3 years. And in fact, I think one of those was a partial year. But Dale actually played with, we had one of the toughest customers the Western League has ever seen. Jeff Crawford was our captain, and he was a teammate of mine my first year in Regina. He played left wing alongside Dale, and Big Crow, you know, tough game, tough league back then. And Jeff kind of rode shotgun for Dale back then, and he was well looked after. So I really did not, plan a line with Dewey at any point during those 2 years. And I will say to your first point, just the caliber of teams that we had while I was a member of the Regina Pats, early 80s. My great regret is we didn't go on to win the league and ultimately take a run at the MC, the Memorial Cup championship. But, my second year, we went to the finals. Kamloops Blazers came within a whisker of
Game 7,
of
Dean
running.
Evison. Yeah.
Oh, please.
Sorry.
It's just a it's a hurtful memory. It's a really hurtful memory. Came within a whisker, but listen, nothing against those Kamloops Blazers. They were fabulous teams as well. And then too, even my third year, I think we wrapped up in the second round. We lost to Medicine Hat, if I'm not mistaken. But I was going back over that roster. Would you believe we had 11 guys on that team that were 20 goal scorers or better? That was the 84-85 edition of the Regina Pats. We had some great teams back then. We really did.
Yeah, those are the things that people are talking about around here right now. And I don't know why. I guess for an absence of other things to talk about. But I will tell you this. Every time you're on, Grimmer, my phone blows up of hockey people. They love.
Sweet.
Yeah, they love the stories from you. To get real for a second, last time we chatted, tried to get you on, tornadoes had hit Nashville. You were downtown, all hands on deck, helping out with emergency effort.
Yeah.
And then coronavirus hits. Like, my gosh, what's going on in Music City right now?
Oh, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So we're under a stay-at-home order. Nashville is actually located in Davidson County. Davidson County is kind of right downtown Nashville. We're under a stay-at-home order, which I was kind of under even before that stay-at-home order was imposed. Jennifer, my wife, and I went away to Portugal for about a week and a half. And after that, the U.S. travel ban, banning anybody from the kind of Western European area, were banned from coming home. Of course, Jennifer and I are American citizens. I'm a dual citizen now since having lived in the United States for a good long while. And we were under a stay-at-home order requested by the CDC, just given that we had traveled back from Portugal after the U.S. ban went into effect. So we're kind of locked down for a couple of weeks anyways. And I will tell you honestly, Rod, I'm having the time of my life. Like, for those that know me well enough, I don't mix well with other people to begin with. So the fact that I'm under a stay-at-home order, like my coworkers are thrilled. The only
You're not
downside is
there.
for Jennifer. Yeah, no, my coworkers, they're thrilled. They're getting a wonderful respite from me. They don't have to deal with me on a day-to-day basis. The only downside, I suppose, is for Jennifer, my wife, and Luke. Luke, the dog, is right here behind me. Luke's looking at me like every day, like, don't you have a flight to catch or something? Like, shouldn't you be on a plane going somewhere? It's about time. But I've been pretty productive here at home. I really have been. But it's just been like many, many other places. It's been just very, very. It's been surreal here in Nashville.
Well, look, I get it. For anybody that's been everywhere, the chance to stay home is a godsend, quite frankly. My wife said on the weekend, divorce rates are going to skyrocket. I think she was talking about our own house. But Grimmer, I mean, you still do those NHL Network appearances. So put on your hockey hat for a second.
Yeah.
You're very close to the Predators. They've rebounded since the coaching change. They're on the cusp. I mean, how would the Preds feel if they, cut it off today and said we're starting the playoffs, and if they missed? If they were one of those bubble teams, what are they thinking right now?
Yeah, I don't know. I tell you, there's a lot of different scenarios kind of being bandied about, and I think the Preds, if a scenario whereby we kind of forego the rest of the regular season, which I think would be, really unfortunate because we're talking about an eighth of the schedule still remains, and a lot can happen because the Preds, would be, I think they get a great reprieve if we started the playoffs today just based on current seeding. We kind of fast forward right to the playoffs, and that's assuming we've got this miniature training camp and everybody kind of gets a chance to ramp back up to speed. The Preds would be very fortunate because I think they were a team that is somewhat precariously positioned right now. Yes, they're currently holding down a playoff spot, but if you look at the strength of schedule for the balance of the season, the Preds have, I think, the second toughest schedule among Western Conference teams. So a lot can happen. A lot can happen when you're kind of in that situation like the Preds are. On the other hand, I think, a club like Columbus, if you look out east, Rod, it's kind of interesting. That's a team that's just badly banged up as we shut down the NHL schedule. They probably get a wonderful reprieve as well because I think they were very vulnerable. Columbus was out east just in terms of how bad they were banged up. And there are some other teams trending favorably behind them that they may have kind of pulled them out of one of those wild card spots out east. But we'll see. I tend to be an optimist in all this. I think that I think our nation, our North America more broadly, is going to look very different, say 3 weeks to a month from now, if that ends up being how long we actually shut down. And I think to me, that still seems enough time to salvage part of the regular season and even perhaps a semblance of the playoffs in some fashion. So time will certainly tell. A lot remains to be seen, but I tend to be an optimist. I think we'll salvage something from the 2019-2020 schedule.
I'm absolutely with you on that. And by the way, you're going to be hearing this if you haven't already. Liberty, which is a school close to you, Kent Austin, former Rough Rider quarterback, is a coach at Liberty. They're ordering 50,000 students back to school. I just saw on Twitter as a direct. Wow. Yeah, I know. You might want to check that when we hang up, but that's at Liberty, not too far from you. As we wind this up, Grimmer, a lot of people asking, how's the book doing? Some are writing in saying they have it. Where can they get it signed? You've been in the area a lot, I see, and it's been going great. Unfortunately, some of your events canceled due to this pandemic. But how's the book going, and how could people in Western Canada get it signed? What's the best way?
Yeah. Great question. And listen, first of all, a hearty thanks. I really appreciate the support and the encouragement. I just never envisioned that the book would go over as well as it has. I was not, in addition to being a reluctant warrior, I was a reluctant author as well, but thrilled that the book is out there. I'm very proud of it. It turned out great. I am so grateful that it's gone over as well as it has. I'm going to be doing a number of events in Western Canada. All that contingent upon, when Corona kind of gives us some pause here, when it gives us an opportunity to do so. I had a number of engagements, even in and around the Regina area, on the calendar that we've since had to shut down. But once we get up and running again, folks can kind of tune by my webpage or sign up for my webpage for the newsletter. And if you follow me on Twitter, I'll be sure to tweet out something to that effect after we kind of sign off this interview, Rod. But I'll give you an opportunity to kind of sign up, follow along, see what kind of activities taking place, to hopefully provide you an opportunity, if you own a book, to get it signed. Because I tell you, one of the great things about having authored this book and seeing it go to market was just the opportunity to meet with folks that have read it, who have been impacted by it, and have some really favorable things to say about it. So that's been a great blessing to me. It's been a lot of fun to be able to do that.
It's funny, some great comments coming in from our viewers. From Tyler Dacu, our social media person here. He says, for a guy that made his living beating the absolute life out of people, Stu's an incredibly articulate man. Love hearing from him. You probably never get tired of hearing comments like that, I would think, Grimmer.
Well, it's very encouraging. It's very encouraging. Although I will say there are lots of comments on the other side that accuse me of being a stumbling, stuttering knuckle dragger at the same time. So you take the good with the bad.
Well, actually, your good close friend Matthew Barnaby said to me, next time you talk to Grimmer, can you just ask him what's wrong with that guy? Why can we not? He wants to be friends, Stu. Can we make that happen, you and Matthew Barnaby?
He so misunderstands me. I think we are friends. I love to push his buttons from time to time, but I need to get together with Barney. And straighten things out. You're right about that.
One of my most favorite stories ever is him. Why you don't like him and beating the hell out of him in Buffalo. We'll talk about it another time. Here's the tweet, Stu, by the way. From @Axios, up to 5,000 students will return to Liberty University's campus this week as the college bucks the national trend of school closures in an attempt to stop the spread of the coronavirus. So you may or may not be hearing about that, but you probably will.
Oh, that gives me pause, gives me some concern. To me, Rod, I mean, again, I think you and I both share an optimistic point of view that we will get through this. We'll be fine sooner rather than later. But to me, given where we are, I think we're still early in the curve here. I don't know that it's time for everybody to, especially a significant chunk of the population like that, to be going back to business or school as usual. I think we're premature for that.
I'm with you. Don't poke the bear. Just stay home
Exactly
and let's get through.
Right.
Grimmer, always a pleasure, man. Keep in touch.
You bet. Thanks for having me on. Really enjoyed it, Rod. Always a pleasure.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.